Hello and welcome to Rooted and Wild Soul with Natalie Aria. Hello my loves and welcome to this, which is our first episode. Oh my goodness, I am excited to be here. It has been a journey and it just feels in flow. I am excited to connect with you in this space. This particular episode is about a broad subject, but one that can be broken down into 4 steps. And it is broad in its scope because of the absolute power and the places that we can go to with these steps. But it's also 4 steps because it is so good to have a map. And so much of what we're doing in our healing journeys, in our sovereign journeys, in our journeys to deepen our awareness and connect more and more with ourselves and our source, so much of what we're doing doesn't have a map, and it's hard. Particularly, my love, I'm talking to you now specifically if you are deep in one of the gnarly parts of your healing journey, because I know from experience that it's, oh my goodness, the image that's coming into my mind is like a deep, dark woods with a thicket, and it's dark and there's no moon and it's wet and it's windy and you're getting caught in the thorns, right? Oh, yeah, we know it. And I just want this, maybe this is for you, because I remember being with my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful therapist, and she was a wonderful woman, wise, beautiful woman, and being with her and just thinking, I just want to understand the way. I know we're doing the work. I know I'm doing the work, but I just want to understand the way. So yeah, if this has ever been, if this will ever be you, this one's for you. And then also, oh my goodness, its vastness, its immensity, because there are so many levels and so many layers that we can get to with these steps. We are not broken and we are not full. We're on this journey, this pathway, and yeah, let this be your guide. So, survival to sovereign. Wow. What do we mean by survival? So first of all, I want to remove, before we even start thinking about it, I want to remove all of those tendrils, all of those little hooks that are going to rush in with shoulds and shame and like disappointment in self for where we find ourselves. Like, let's just, as much as we can, let's get rid of those. Survival, survival, survival. Our bodies, our psyches, our brains, our whole systems are primarily programmed, this is our deep core programming, for survival. And the most incredible thing is that we can experience things that are deeply, deeply wounding in our lives, and we can survive. What does survival look like? Survival in the mind looks like keeping going with the status quo, keep on going, do what needs to get done, the minimal, so that we can just keep going. Survival might look like shutting down, it might look like disorientation, it might look like confusion in our minds. It might look fast. I'm speaking fast when I'm talking about survival, because it might look fast. Often what we try and do is move on. We want to move on. We want to race away. We might be in fight. We might be in flight. We want to race away. Survival can also feel very stuck. So survival can also feel quite slow and foggy and disorientating. Survival in the body can feel like overwhelm, too much feeling, too sensitive, Really looking for that next hit of feeling as well, that next dopamine hit. Survival in the body can also look like numbness. It can oftentimes, when I'm working with clients and we start with actually feeling into the body, it can be very difficult to even have any sensations. I'll often work with people and they'll be like, I've got nothing below here, nothing below the neck, nothing in the body, or maybe slightly lower down, get down to the heart, but nothing below. It can look like illness. It can feel like peaks and troughs. So high intensity and then complete numbing. Survival can get in the way of our connection to nature. It can be very overwhelming to be in nature, even though it's deeply healing. It can be extremely overwhelming, and we can just focus in. You remember that fast, we focus in. And we might be disconnected from nature. We might be disconnected from our spirituality. Our spirituality comes when we are able to be open and connect. Our knowing, our spirituality in that sense comes from open. And survival feels very closed. So why do we have that? Why do we get into these places? Well, first of all, going back to our bodies, our minds are incredible. We are programmed to survive. And so we do what we can to get through something, perhaps through a traumatic experience. Maybe you're in the storm of that traumatic experience, but we do what we can to survive. And then we get programmed to be stuck. Unfortunately, we are programmed to feel very comfortable in what we know. So actually, this might be a bit sticky, but it's true. We can often hold ourselves in something that is deeply uncomfortable because it is easier in our minds, in our bodies, in our psyches. It is easier than moving into the unknown, even if the unknown could be completely different and transformed. So that's another part. So that's survival. But we're gentle with survival because, my goodness, we get through things. And thank our bodies, thank our minds, thank our spirituality, thank everything that we do, because it's incredible that we are able to survive until we are able to take steps to move into thriving. And with thriving energy, I want to move into what is sovereign. What do I even mean by sovereign? What is sovereignty? Sovereignty is knowing of ourselves. Sovereignty is connecting deeply to ourselves. Sovereignty is acting from a place of deep connection and knowing of what we need. So it's moving through some of those really sticky tools that we use in order to survive. It's moving through codependency. It's moving through relying too much on others. It's moving through having leaky boundaries that mean that actually we might be people pleasers, or we might be really shut down and avoidant. It's moving through all of these pieces so that we are fully empowered to be the beautiful, complex, whole selves that we are. And what does that feel like? Oh my goodness, what does that feel like? It feels open. It feels safe. It feels connected. It feels in flow. It feels in rhythm. It feels unforced. It feels open. It feels alive. So these are steps. Like I said in my introduction, on the one hand, this is just like do it step by step by step. On the other hand, there are so many layers. So it's really, because I'm talking as I'm sharing, I invite you just to feel in. Where are you? Have you done these steps before? Do you need to go again? Are you at the beginning? Are you halfway through? Like, where are you? Feel in. So let's start. Step one. Step one is to examine what we have. What are we dealing with? So this is where we always start. What are we actually dealing with? And what can we pull back, pull away that is not ours and is no longer something that we want to hold on to. So what do I mean by that? I'm talking about stripping it back to make space. And we need to find our fullest selves on this journey again and again and again, because we never stay just one fullest self. We're always growing, always evolving. But first step, stripping it back, our conditioning. We are programmed, we are intricately, exponentially complex programmed creatures, and we are the culmination of the web of every single experience that we've ever had. How incredible is that? And so much of our conditioning, we'll come back to this time and time and again in this podcast, but so much of our conditioning comes from our childhood. So that's often a really good place to start. What is our conditioning? What did we experience as a child that is still affecting us now? And I guarantee there will be things, there will be pieces, there will be family systems, there will be roles that you were given by society or by your family, and you're given them, and we're like sponges, we're open and we take them on, and they create part of who we are, but they do not necessarily all serve. They don't, and in so many ways, isn't that what we're seeing on this bigger scale? Is that we're stuck in old systems, old dynamics, old roles that do not work. They don't work for humanity. They don't work for us on an individual level. So that is the first level. We are looking at our patterns. We're looking at our conditioning. Who were we told that we were supposed to be? Even if we weren't told, who were we molded into being? What parts of that do we want to hold on to? There's beauty, 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 beauty. I'm not saying strip it all back and start from the beginning completely. We are not. There is so much beauty in you, so much beauty in all of us. But what doesn't serve you? What patterns do you have that do not serve you? Who are we now? And who are we in our soul? Can you feel into that? So the more that we start to strip these pieces back with our consciousness, with our cognitive process, go on a long walk. Think about, like I say, a long walk, go for like a couple of hours, or I don't know, like walk the Appalachian Trail. I don't know. Whatever it takes, your process is your process. This could take a long time. This could be something you already have a good awareness of. This is big, but really, really feel into what was given to you, what was modeled to you. Does it serve you? Do you believe it in yourself now? Do you believe in it? Do you believe in parts? Do you want to hold on to parts and then get rid of the detritus? We do this work somatically as well. So we hold on to so much in our bodies. So much of our therapy, love therapy, so much of our therapy is about processing the cognitive, it's about processing the parts that we can recognize and understand. Brilliant, that's what I was saying. Go for a walk, think it through. Come on, come to yourself. But also the somatic. We hold it in our bodies, our experiences, the expectations, the shame, the doubt, the stuckness. We get stuck, we get stagnant in our bodies. In fact, what happens is that we tend to just hold ourselves. If we are challenged, we hold ourselves, often quite small, into spaces. We mold ourselves into places, or we are molded and shaped. So this is the somatic as well. Releasing somatically, and stay tuned. If you're interested in this, please stay tuned. Follow this podcast, because we're going to have loads and loads of resources on this. But somatically, we can actually move things out of our system, and we can, it's the opposite of stagnant. We can free, we can liberate, we can move, we can be in flow, we can be fluid. We can invite fluidity into our lives by moving some of this stuff out. And then, so I'm always using these different tools, these different modalities. So we've got the cognitive, like the conscious, bringing things that are murky and down there into our consciousness, so that we can really decide for ourselves, do we want them? Do they serve us? Are we going to let go of some of these? And I say that as if it's just let go, but that's the process, right? somatically, what's in our bodies, what can we move, what can we shake, what can we change, what can we shift, how can we grow, and then energetically, bring it in. Use the new moon to get quiet, go inwards, to meditate, to just be with the energies of what's moving in us and to seed what's new. Use the full moon. Use that vibration that happens on the way up to the new moon, that really tricky time where light has been shone into the shadow so that we can see what needs to be dealt with or feel what needs to be dealt with. Use those things. Use nature to hold space for this process. This process is hard, I'm not going to lie. This process is big and it can be really challenging, but it is so needed and so valuable. It's immensely valuable. So use nature, use awe, use the woods, use the hills. Challenge yourself to struggle up a hill as you're processing something. Use nature to hold that. Okay, so that's step number 1, is stripping it back and then really determining, does this serve me? Does this work? Is this in alignment with me, with my values, with my core, with my desires? Does this work for me, or am I ready to try something new? And that takes us lovely, takes us into step number 2, which is soul diving. Okay, so we've stripped back and we're trying to work out, does this serve? Does this serve? Does it need to be reconfigured? Do I need to let this go? Soul diving, step number 2. Who are you? Underneath it all, who are you? Not what you've been conditioned to be, not what you're expected to be, not what the framework is, but if you can pull back layers and layers and layers of this, who are you? And you are going to know. To some extent it's coming through you. Maybe it's strong, maybe it's a whisper, but to some extent it's already coming through you and you will know. But let's make space for that. So step 2 is about making space and noticing the embers. So let's imagine it's a fire, right? And we're noticing these tiny little embers, and it's yes, hello, beautiful part of me, beautiful little ember. That's a part of me. That's my truth. That's my true north. That's my hello, magic little part. And then protecting and cultivating. So again, cognitively, what we're doing is keeping moving with step number 1, because this was a big step. I told you it's going to come back. It's going to come back. Our conditioning is going to take a long time to move from. So it's keeping on sweeping the decks, cognitively being aware of when we're just acting from our programming, and then we're making space. So gently sweeping that away. That's our process there. And then we're holding this ember and we're feeling into it. Feeling into the possibility of it, feeling into the magic of it. Noticing, are we longing for more of this? What am I longing for more of? Am I longing for more of this? What does it feel like? And then somatically, this is a feeling into what's true. Starting to actually really feel in our bodies, yes, this is me, I know this is deep, this is me, this feels good in my system. Following joy, the feelings that we might get in our body might be pleasure or joy or awe or excitement. Oh yes, excitement, this is about following excitement. Sometimes excitement can feel like nervous energy, and actually they're two sides of the same coin, excitement and nervous energy, but we'll go into that a bit in a minute. But somatically it might feel like pleasure and just oh yes, that little bit, that's me, I can feel that's me. And what we're doing is we're protecting, we're nurturing this little ember and allowing it to grow. We're giving it a little bit of oxygen, we're allowing it to grow, and we're nurturing these parts of ourselves, and they're growing into the space that we created from step 1. And then energetically, I suppose what we're doing here is amplifying it. And we're doing this on every level, right? We're doing this cognitively. We're deciding, we're choosing to follow what we want to do. We're choosing to do more of what we know is ours and what we love and what we want to follow and where we want to be, and all of that is coming into the space, into the void that we created. And yeah, somatically, we're really feeling into that. We're starting to feel into our yes and our no. We're connecting more because we've made space, and some of that's going to be trauma work. We'll go into that another time. Some of step one is going to be unpacking a lot of trauma that allows us to get into our bodies, but there's a different part of the process. But we're all able to do this to a point. And oh my goodness, this step is important. And on healing journeys, it can be hard. It can be so hard. Like, I'm sorry. I know you probably don't want to hear this, but it's true. You're living it. You've lived it, you know. So what we can do in our somatics, in our following that pleasure, following that joy, following that awe, following that wonder, is create some balance so that we have something to hold on to. This is the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel, right? Or, the glow sticks along the way in the tunnel. These are the markers. This is the guide. This is the thing that just gives us enough so that we can carry on this journey. So yeah, we got this pieces, we're feeling into it, and then energetically we are expanding it, we're amplifying it, we're using our energetics, we're using our intention, we're using our inner, deeper wisdom. I'm going to go so much deeper into tune in, follow, find me on Facebook, on Instagram, get onto my mailing list, that's where all of the resources are, and yeah, there's some really deep stuff. All of these things that are available, going deeper into this journey. So yes, anyway, energetically, we are using our inner wisdom, using our knowing, using visualization. So really starting to see, this is the manifestation work. Yeah, there's a whole podcast coming on manifestation. But this is being able to see where we want to go. We love that. Our energies work in this way. When we can actually visualize and start to bring to life, we start to attract in what we need, and we start to move towards what we need. And meditation, creating space for this step, this soul diving. So it's soul diving, following pleasure. Who are we? Creating space. That takes us on to step number 3. Step number 3 is learning to trust yourself. Leaning in to trusting, to connecting to our inner knowing, to connecting to our security in ourselves, in our belief in ourselves, connecting to our intuition, that feminine part of all of us. And whenever I use masculine and feminine, it's always, it's not talking about women and men, it's talking about the feminine aspect that is in all of us, our intuition. Learning how to fully lean into that, into really trusting that gut feeling. Again, this is all process. Some of us are unable to get into our bodies. It's very difficult to trust our gut feeling. Some of us have chronic illness, and it can be really challenging to trust our gut feeling because there are conflicting things. So it's using these tools, really, really honing in, learning discernment so that we can actually really know what is my truth, what is my guidance, what is my North Star, what am I following? What feels a bit like it, but actually is something in disguise. So what is fear? So sometimes fear can block us. What is other people's energy? Sometimes when we're learning to really trust and lean into our intuition, we can be incredibly swayed, incredibly sensitive to other people's energies. And so really learning to discern what's mine. And this is about slowing down. This is the process. So we're using the cognitive, we're using our awareness, we're using bringing it into the light so that we can think, okay, Oh, yeah, I made this decision. I followed this. Did this serve me? Was this real? Was this true? Or was this, can I identify? Was I being pulled from other places? Learning ourselves, learning the difference. Listening to our bodies, connecting to our bodies. So using somatic tools so that we can connect to our bodies. Starting to build on that freedom from the previous step. Embodiment, dance, movement. These are our medicines here. So ecstatic dance, yoga, to some extent meditation, really connecting somatically to our bodies, being outside, feeling the sunshine on our skin, being naked in water, all of these kind of freedom and connecting to our bodies so that we can listen and learn to trust what's a yes. What does a yes feel like in my body, in my whole body? What does a yes feel like in my heart? What does a yes feel like in my belly? What does a yes feel like in my yoni or like in my sexuality? What does a yes feel like in my body? How can I tell? What are my signs? And just to be really clear as well, this stage isn't about things that all feel good. So following the pleasure, following what feels good, absolutely leaning into what feels like us, Oh, what are my signs? This is the sovereign. What are my body's signs? Oh, I love this. What are my body's signs? So we've removed so much of the conditioning. We're connecting, we're alive, we're going deeper. We're journeying with these steps, moving towards the sovereign. What are my signs? Not what are yours. I can tell you mine are like this feeling, I think yoni squeeze or nipples hardening or like excitement in my body, feels like heart fluttering. These are my signs, but what are yours? Where are you in your sovereign body? Just learn to notice, bring it to your awareness space, bring it to your consciousness. Learn to notice. And one thing around feeling into these signs, though, is that they don't always feel entirely comfortable. So sometimes there can be an illusion that something has to feel 100%, or it can feel really good if it's going to be a yes. And actually, that's not true. In our healing, so in our process, in our healing and in our growth, not only healing, but in our growth, we have what is called a window of tolerance. So we need to be regulated enough. And we're going to go into regulation a lot in other podcasts as well. So please listen to those. Really beautiful tools for self-regulation, which is so important. We need to be regulated enough so that our nervous systems are open. So we have a window of tolerance. So we're regulated enough so that we are open to new, exciting, challenging sometimes challenging experiences, so that we're open enough to be able to receive. Then this is our window of tolerance. And then we want to take it right up to our growing edge. We don't grow in the comfortable. Sometimes in our journeys, we might want to rest a while in the comfortable. But growing is actually uncomfortable a little, but it's within our window of tolerance. It's exciting and it's nervousness at the same time. That's where the growing is. And if you are not challenging yourself to do that, if you're in a space where you have enough nervous system regulation, enough tools to be able to come back to a settled place on a regular basis, if you are in that position and you're not pushing yourself, you're not reaching your fullest potential, you're not reaching those experiences that are available to you. And maybe that's difficult to hear. And oftentimes on our journeys, sometimes it's like strolling through a woods. It's like a Disney movie in my head right now. There are birds tweeting and there's woods and the sunshine. Sometimes that is it. Like, let's lose the Disney part. It's not really my bag. Sometimes it's beautiful. Sometimes it's lying, having your skin stroked on a beach in the sunshine. Like, sometimes it's genuinely, genuinely beautiful. Some parts of our journey are like climbing a grey, rocky crag, a cliff in the rain. And sometimes it feels like we might not quite survive this leg of the journey. And what can happen is that we can get to a ledge and we find that ledge and it is the most beautiful ledge. And we are the most relieved that we are no longer clinging on for dear life. And we get onto that ledge. There's a little bit of food and there's a little bit of water and it's safe. And that safety in comparison feels like, feels incredible. And above us, what we might not even see is a bit more climbing. There's more crag above us, more cliff above us. And it's not necessarily going to be easy, but we're really just about focusing in, resting, nourishing ourselves on this craggy little ledge. But the beauty is, and I know this in my soul, I know this through people that I work with, I know this through groups and workshops that I guide, I know this through my own experience, I know this just in a deep part of my knowing, is that somewhere it just gets more beautiful. There is more available to us than survival, which is on that ledge, even if it feels like it's safe enough. There is more, there is more, there is more. More feeling, more to share, more to settle into, more pleasure. And I don't mean in a capitalistic sense. I'm not talking about going out and buying and getting what we need through like over bringing in. I'm just talking about beauty. I really am. And sometimes what can happen is that we can get stuck in the comfortable because the comfortable is nirvana compared to what was before. And by all means, my darling, rest. Rest. Regroup, re-nourish. Oh my goodness. Yes, rest, but don't make the mistake of thinking that good enough is as far as it goes. Although, you know what? I'm talking about sovereignty. It's your decision. Like it truly is. This is my, feels like a knowing, but it is mine. And with anything I say, right? And this is a genuine invitation. I'm going to bring this time and time again. I always do. With anything I say, you get to feel in to, is this right for me? Does this make sense to me? This is coming back to that stripping away, right? Like, don't be wedded to the ideas of somebody else if they don't serve you. Feel into that stripping back. And that's true with anything that I say, anything that anybody says to you. You need, in your sovereign journey, you need to feel into you. Hold on to what serves, let go of what doesn't serve. So I am, oh wow, I'm so excited. So we are trusting, we're trusting. And I've actually kind of skipped ahead a little bit to stage 4 with my climbing. So we're learning to lean in, learning to trust our intuition, learning to trust our process, learning to trust what is ours, learning to trust what feels good, what feels not like it's not right for us, learning to hold on to what serves us, learning to let go of what doesn't. The next step number 4, it sounds simple and it sounds obvious, but it isn't always, is do the thing. Do the thing. Your intuition is guiding you. Your higher self is knowing. Your knowing is guiding you. Your spirituality is guiding you. Your past selves are guiding you. All of these things. Again, if it serves, keep it. If it doesn't, let it go. All of these parts of you, this wisdom is within you. And you have to do the thing. When there's a move to make, if it's within that window of tolerance, do the thing. Even if it's really stretching, even if it feels really, really scary. I am a big advocate, huge advocate for fake it till you make it, right? So let's think about some of the blockages that might be around this doing of the thing. One blockage is other people's perception of us. Do we fit in? Like, this is a deeper part. Do we fit into society? What do we need to do in order to fit in? Can we let go of that? Can we let go of that and do the thing? Can we fake it till we make it? Can we actually just go, okay, I'm going to embody confidence and I'm going to do this thing? Because when we do that, we lay down new neural pathways. When we do something different, so we've stripped back, we understand what's ours, we're learning to trust our intuition, we're doing the thing. These are all practices. Because what we are doing is redirecting behaviors by laying down new behavior patterns. These new neural systems that mean that over time, and I promise, over time, we know this, with any new habit, over time, when we do it over and over and over again, it will become our new norm. And that is wonderful. That's a wonderful feeling. But until then, consciously, cognitively, we need to bring it to our attention, bring it to our awareness, do the thing, do the thing. Again and again. Trust. Let go of the fact that we might get it wrong. We might get it wrong. It might not be perfect. If we're in alignment with our values, if we're doing no harm, we might get it wrong. We might need to make repair. We might need to own and say, yeah, that actually didn't work. Like, oh my goodness, yes. But then we're growing edge. We're at that growing edge if we are making these bold moves. Sometimes those bold moves might look really tiny from the outside, but it might be a bold move for you. But sometimes it might be this massive thing. Growing edge. Do the thing. We're not going to sabotage because we're connected to our intuition. And even if we do notice that we're self-sabotaging, we do it a different way. So that's the last step. Number 4 is do the thing. Believe enough. Trust enough. And then repeat. These steps are like the lunar cycle. They are like the seasons. If you have a menstrual cycle, they're like your menstrual cycle. We are cyclical creatures. We are not linear creatures. It is not always just a straight line. It's cycles. Do these things over and over again. Go deeper. It's beautifully said, isn't it? That instead of looking at circles as cycles, we're looking at spirals. Spiral deeper into the truth of who you are, into your sovereign self, and spiral higher. Work with these things time and time again. Come back to the same thing again and again and again, but work with it in a different way, with a different level of knowing. You're doing. This is what it means to do the work. Oh my goodness. So those are the steps. Just feeling in. I wonder if you'll take a breath with me right now. So just releasing the breath. Just take a moment to breathe in deeply and soften with the out breath. Just take a moment. Maybe you'll come back to this podcast. There's a lot. This is a big journey. There are big themes in here, themes that we're going to unpack, themes that we're going to explore. I am so excited to be on this journey with you. And like I said before, this is a space where we're going to be diving into these themes. This is a space that is going to be bringing what serves us as we journey. So follow this podcast and find me on social media. It's Natalie Aurea. I'm on Instagram and Facebook. Find me there. Join my mailing list because you will be sent moon cycle curations, beautiful curations, meditations, beautiful gifts to help you on your journey. Connect, drop some comments. I'd love to hear from you. This is about connection. This is about community. This is about us being in this together. And I am so glad that you're here. This is Rooted and Wild Soul with Natalie Aurea. Don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on our weekly episodes. I cannot wait to connect with you again.